Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Rachel. I am a homeschooling mom to 2 boys, a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old. And in this video, we get to discuss all the books that this mama read during the spring months. So let's dive right in. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time, and welcome back to those who have seen my videos before. Like I said, we're gonna be talking all about the books I read in the spring. So getting started on the first book that I read way back in March. I don't have a physical copy of it. Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book is about Carrie Soto, a tennis player that is retired and has the Grand Slam record, and there is another tennis player coming up in the ranks, and she just beat her Grand Slam record, and they are now gonna see if Carrie Soto is gonna take back the title or not after years in retirement. And Carrie Soto is this powerful, strong woman who is like fierce. She is like no nonsense, will get the job done at all costs, and I loved her character. This was my very first Taylor Jenkins Reid book, and I fell in love with her writing style and her character development. So I am looking forward to more books from her in the future. Carrie Soto is Back was a 5 out of 5 book read for me, and I absolutely loved it. I just flew through it. And on top of that, I learned so much about tennis. Like, who knew there were different courts? I did not. I had no idea about the clay courts and the grass courts. Just had no idea. Now, moving on from March into April, my next set of books, I read the complete series back to back to back. And that book series is the Thursday Murder Club series. And I got 2 of the books from the library. I have the second one here. This book series is by Richard Osman. And a fun fact about Richard Osman, when I picked up the first book, The Thursday Murder Club, in the back, I'm like, oh, Richard Osman, I know that name. I wonder if it's the same comedian that I know and love. So Richard Osman is a British comedian who, if you know anything about British comedy and panel shows, it's a very specific niche, and I love Richard Osman. I think he's hysterical. I watched one of the shows he was on and just fell in love with him. So I knew all about who Richard Osman was before reading this book series. Now, that was a sidetrack, but back to this book series. This is the second book in the series. So there's The Thursday Murder Club, The Man Who Died Twice, and then the third book is The Bullet That Missed. And this is about a foursome of older individuals in their 70s and 80s who live in a retirement community, and each of them is has their own little speciality. And there's 2 women and 2 men, and they come together and solve murders every Thursday. They look at old cases, they basically they go undercover, and they befriend 2 police officers, and they just all work together in their own special capacities and solve murders. And you know, they get up to some mischief, and I'm here for it. I am here for it. And so Richard Osman is a comedian, and these books do not let me down in the comedy area. I have already pre-ordered on Amazon the 4th book in this series, so I'm here for The Thursday Murder Club. It's fantastic. 5 out of 5 for all 3 of the books in the series. So then back in May, I wanted to dive into some more Taylor Jenkins Reid. So I picked up Malibu Rising, and this is a book about some siblings, and it's a family saga of them growing up. It has a dual timeline with, you know, husband wife meeting, getting married, having children, and basically the horrific choices that ensue from that relationship, adultery, alcoholism, divorce, and how these children grow, and essentially they do thrive, all of them in their own different ways. However, so the writing is good. I liked the writing. However, the characters, they fell flat for me. Wow, that was a fly flying by real fast. The characters fell flat for me completely. She was, I think, there was just too much going on, especially at the end. At the end of the book, there was just way too much going on. And if you've read this book, you know what I mean. I won't give any spoilers away. But yeah, this book fell flat for me. So 3 out of 5 for me. Yeah, I thought it was gonna be a lighter read, maybe. Maybe that's, I mean, the colors on this are like so bright and fun that you would think, oh, it's gonna be like a light Malibu read. No, it is not a beach read. No, A lot of deep, dark stuff going on in this book. I just had to stop and have a lunch break with my kids because they were out back playing and the water play was just a little too much for them, so they needed to come inside, cool down, and have some lunch. So I am back from a break to discuss the last 2 books that I have read and am currently reading in the month of June. Now, this is completely not my genre at all. It is my husband's genre, and my husband got me into this book series because he was listening to it on an audiobook, and I'm like, the characters were just drawing me in because I could overhear my husband from his office where I was in the bedroom, and like these characters were drawing me in. Now, this book series is called Expeditionary Force by Craig Allenson, and I've read it on audiobook, all of these books. And this month specifically, I've read the final 2 books in the series, book 14 and book 15. Book 14 is Match Game, and book 15, the final book in this space opera, is Failure Mode. So our protagonist is named Bishop, and he starts out in the very first book being a grunt in the United States Army. I don't even know if he's a sergeant. Like, I don't even think he is. But he, through many different escapades, going off-world to another alien planet, he encounters, which is never been encountered before in all of the universe, an elder AI. And this is kind of the world that we are now thrown into of what are the elders. This AI is all powerful. He can warp space-time. He has the ability to control everything electronically. Like, what is the story gonna unfold into? And it is, let me tell you, an epic space opera. It is not for everyone. There is, I mean, it's at times just silly, and this is definitely aimed for the boy crowd. There's some boy humor in it. There is cursing in it, and all of that aside, the characters in this space opera, I just love the characters, and this is why I started the series, because I could hear my husband in the other room, and I would like hear Margaret and Bishop and Skippy and Fireball Reed, like all of these characters that I just completely fell in love with. Like, I can't give so much away because there's so many characters over this 15-book series, and I I'm one of those readers where I read a series. When books are out, I pretty much read the whole series. So I started this series, my children are playing outside very loudly. I started this series back in January of 2022, and then I caught up with all of the books. And so books 14 and 15 weren't out when I finished reading books 1 through 13. So the reason I got pulled back into this series is I heard my husband from the other room yet again listening to book 15, and I hear one of my favorite characters, something happens to her, and I'm like, did this just happen to so-and-so? He's like, yes, that did. I'm like, I have to continue this series. Like, it's just the characters draw you in, and yes, there are inconsistencies to this story. It is science fiction, complete science fiction. Wow, my kids are really screaming, having fun. It is complete science fiction, but it was amazing. So yeah, all of these books in this series, I think I gave like 4 to 5 stars. But yeah, the characters, Skippy is fantastic, and so many of the other characters I don't want to give away because it's just amazing. It's an amazing book series. And if you have a husband, I would recommend Expeditionary Force and see what your husband thinks about it. And then if he's on board, join him, and then you can have something to bond over, because husband and wives need something to bond over. That is fun and silly and that draws you in. It is Editing Rachel here. I realize that this video is way too long if I also want to include my summer TBR. So I'm gonna end it here with just what I read in the spring, and then in my next video, or maybe the one after that, I will do my summer TBR. So that is the end of this video. I hope that wherever you are having a fantastic day, and whatever books that you read this spring, leave them in the comments. Let's chat about the ones that you loved. If you have any book recommendations for me, leave them in the comments. I would love to hear them. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.